It is the Air Force Veteran Intel Specialist, the one you call on when you need to get the job done, and your friendly neighborhood vet dog. Also, the DICK of this industry and a ridiculously kissable one. And you are checking out the Four Corner Fandemonium.
It's showtime! Woo!
Rest in peace.
Welcome to Four Corner Fandemonium. I'm your host, Jay Will, the voice of independent wrestling. And today we have a special Memorial Day episode. And I got with us Air Force veteran, my man, Red Dawg. How you doing today, bro?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. How are you?
Man, I'm doing pretty good. I appreciate you coming on and, letting the fans know who you are.
Yeah, of course. It's one of those things that's crazy because, like, a lot of people don't realize that I'm like an Air Force veteran, even though I mention it like all the time. I think some people really think it's like a gimmick, but like, no. It's like, oh, it's a real thing about me.
Yeah, real thing that you're proud of. I understand that. I'm an Army veteran myself, so I say that loud and proud all the time.
Yeah, you got to be, because never, what they say is like less than 1% of like the United States like actually does, serve the military. So when you get someone that's like in, it's kind of cool. But what the funny thing to me is like, it's so funny to see how many people like have some kind of like is a veteran that like served in the wrestling community. Like that
Yeah,
throws me off all the time.
yeah, it's a lot of them, and a lot of them don't really say it, but they should. They definitely
Yeah.
should. All right, let's start off first. We're gonna start off by giving a moment of silence for all our veterans that is not here with us today for this Memorial Day, and then we're gonna go into the interview. All right, appreciate everybody doing that with us. We appreciate all the veterans around the world and everyone that we've lost, and we're gonna keep pushing. All right, so
Yes.
tell us a little bit about you.
As your friendly neighborhood red dog, I definitely want to be known as the finest mercenary in all of professional wrestling. And yeah, the guy who goes around and beats people up and collects paychecks because that's what's necessary in this life. Because sometimes you have a kid who decides that they need to, they need to do dance lessons. And listen, plies do not pay for themselves. Like someone has to. And so the best way I see fit is like beating people up and getting that money.
I know that's right. Getting all the money that you can, traveling around from state to state. So, how many years have you been pro wrestling right
So I'm actually going into my fourth year. I think that's what throws a lot of people off. That I'm ridiculously long in the tooth, but you short in the game. If that makes sense.
now? Yeah. I mean, hey, so long you got people putting their eye on you, you the experience. I mean, hey, you matter the time.
Yeah, I think it's a big thing too because I know like someone like DDP, started off at like 34, 35 years old,
Yeah.
and when I made the decision, it was time for me to try to live to my dream and do something that I wanted to do since I was a kid. I decided I was like, let's just jump into it. I had finished a lot of stuff that a lot of people had kind of set before me in my own path, and I decided that once I got done with that path, it was time to find something that was going to make me uh, also confident and believe in who I am. And so once I saw the opportunity to kind of join this crazy industry that I'm in now, I leapt in, and yeah, I haven't looked back since.
What wrestling schools did you go to?
So currently, I am at Riot City Compound in Sykesville, Maryland, and I'm only going to be here for a little bit longer. But this is really the only place I've been to so far, and
Okay.
then here soon, we'll see. Uh, my services and talents will be taking somewhere else.
Oh, okay. Okay. Hey, it's not moving on, but still appreciating where you came from.
Right.
So, what promotions have you worked for?
I don't know, man, it's crazy because like in the time span I've been in, I feel like I've been in a lot of different promotions. So I did get my start with C3W out of DC. I was like grateful that I had my first match with them.
Hmm.
And then from there, I've worked at SCWA out in Glendale, West Virginia, which was also a lot of fun. And then from there, I've been to places like Invictus, Pro Wrestling, HWF out of uh, Jesus, in Pennsylvania, over in Lewistown,
Okay.
Bannerville as well with NCW. I've been to out in Pittsburgh for a couple promotions out there. Asylum Pro Wrestling, which is definitely like out in deep Pennsylvania as well. We've gone to let's see, 1CW in Delaware, which I was
Hmm.
definitely very appreciative of my time going there. Been to EWA, SWA, SWF up in New Jersey. So I've kind of traveled around a little bit, and I've even I had a dark match one time at the Wrestling Open in Worcester, Massachusetts. So you know, I've kind of hit a few different places.
Hey man, in 4 years you got quite a resume already.
And it's still growing because
Yeah.
I had this year I had debuted at, or actually last year I debuted at Voltage, but then I was looking to make a debut at Elite, which was something I was definitely excited about, Elite Pro Wrestling, and unfortunately due to circumstances like I couldn't make some of their shows, so I was like I couldn't be there. But we'll see what happens because I've definitely helped out with like Kings and Queens and IWL. There's been like a lot of different places that have asked me for help, so I'm
Gotcha.
excited.
It's good to feel appreciated in your field, especially in the field of pro wrestling. It's like
Yes.
because it's so many wrestlers around. I didn't realize it until I got back into the independent game, going around into different shows, and realize it's not just the same wrestlers going from show to show. It's a lot of different local wrestlers around who don't get the shine that they should. So for you to be in the game 4 years and you're getting the recognition that you are, and people reaching out to you for your services and everything, man, that's a hell of a job.
I appreciate that. It's one of those things too where I think like ultimately like there's your work speaks for yourself, but you also like people are gonna vouch for you and talk for you and hype you up. But at the end of the day, like you still have to be like you have to be the person that people are telling you that you are. So if you come in and you're a complete douche to somebody, like it's gonna stick around. And so
Yeah,
I think because I lived a whole life before I ever joined before I joined pro wrestling, I had a whole entire life outside of it. It gave me a different kind of perspective, and a lot of people definitely appreciate that. So I can go back, still be a professional, still talk to people, do all the things that they asked me to do, and then just go from there.
not everybody has that discipline that the military instills, and it definitely shows. But it's a great thing to take with you.
Facts, 100%.
All right, so who's your favorite wrestler growing up?
Rey Mysterio Jr. I
Rey
don't even argue
Mysterio.
this point anymore. Yeah, I don't even fight it. I tell everybody. I've been watching Rey Mysterio since 1994. So
Okay.
I watched him in ECW. I watched him
Yeah.
transition to WCW. I watched him transition to WWE. Watched him in New
Yeah.
Japan. Watched him on the Indies. Like Rey Mysterio, hands down, is one of those generational talents that like nobody is going to be able to compare to. Just luchador wise, he just did something to the business that evolved everything, and now everybody wants to wrestle the same way like Ray wrestles. And I think to me, even though like a lot of his promos were never like always the best, like his ring work and his underdog story like constantly told you like, hey, this is the dude that
Yeah.
you want to mimic. And he was marketed towards the kids, and he came up in a great time period where he got to be a comic book character if he wanted to be. And he got to
Yeah.
do all the things that he was going to do. So I definitely that's he's just my favorite.
Yeah. I used to love watching Ray back in the day. I actually just rewatched a Nitro from when the NWO attacked everybody in the back,
Mhm.
and Kevin Nash caught Rey Mysterio out of the air and darted him into the trailer.
Yes.
And yeah, and all he could say was there was 4 men. There was 4 men.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure that was the concussion talking, but you know.
No, see, it's funny because like for me, I remember that moment happening. I remember seeing him get darted into that building, and I was like,
Yes.
"That is another grown man throwing a grown man into a building." And
Yes. So somebody else had the same thought as me then, because I'm like,
yeah.
wow, he is a grown man that he just threw into this building like he was a ball or something.
Yes. And then like even what makes it crazier on top of that, right, is that I remember when he lost his mask and like he had become like the more kind of like gangster type, like just kind of thug style wrestling, just
Hmm.
living it up with Master P and the No Limit Soldiers and run around
Yeah.
like hooty hoo. You know,
Yeah.
I love that Rey Mysterio because it was just a Rey that just didn't like really a lot of people didn't know really how to resonate with, but it was just a lot of fun to see him. To even watch him now, like go back and just kind of like when I go back and watch those days, I'm like, this is the dude who like was killing it on the scene, and then like he got injured during the filming of Ready to Rumble, and I was like, that's what took him out for a while, and I was like, that's crazy. But that Rey Mysterio is like one of a kind that like you can't replicate that with anybody. Like he's just that swag that he had, that style of wrestling, like
Yeah.
no one's comparing to that.
No, no. Everybody is like you look across everywhere now, Mexico, Japan, America, everybody's throwing on the mask and trying to copy it, but it's not working.
Mm-mm.
Definitely not working. But so you in your career, have you accomplished anything so far that you thought you wouldn't?
I'm gonna be honest, man. The only thing I ever thought about was, am I gonna be able to hang in this business at all? Um, being that I'm 4 year going into my fourth year, I would say that I've accomplished that goal. So for something that I didn't think I was gonna do to something that I'm doing now, that's it for me. That was like the end statement. So I think
Gotcha.
for me, it's like now that I've started to live my dream, it's time to like dream bigger and find new things that to do. And that's where I'm at now. Is just kind of trying to figure out like what can I do to make things, I don't know how to say bigger, but to dream bigger and dream like more of a long distance wise.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's like you're not staying stagnant with one thing. You just conquer something and then move forward.
Yeah,
All right. So,
exactly.
name some of your favorite matches that you've had.
Well, so far, I think one of my favorite matches I had, I was wrestling. Actually, I've wrestled him twice, and both times were just fun matches. I think they're both on my YouTube page too. TJ Sykes has been one of like my favorite
Okay.
opponents to work. He's just the Red Prince is a lot of fun to work. I had a match with a good friend of mine and my fellow podcaster, uh, Chaz, the Don, Chaz Evans.
Uh-huh.
We tore it down. We also his tag team partner and I, Prince Machiavelli, have also had a lot of fun. I had 3 great matches with Andino, which those matches have always seemed to like make me want to raise my game up and focus more like on my character work as well as like just my wrestling ability. And it's like let's see, wrestled Sicken a bunch of times, uh, and we've had fun tearing it down every single time. So I think those were my big ones, and then 2 matches in particular that would stand out. I think of are kind of like my breakthrough matches. They're both against Beastman. I had
Okay.
one at SCWA and I had one at Voltage, and both times like I just had so much fun being able to work with someone like him and have him just help me. And I just
That's what's
those
up.
2 matches like each time like I went against him at SCWA back in like 2021, and it was like
Mhm.
my first real big shot at somebody. And then right after that, like fast forward 2 years later, I was working him in another match at Voltage, and that match is actually up on their webpage now. But that match
Okay.
was, oh my god, it was so much fun to do as well.
That's what's up, man. I'm glad you can like name opponents that you actually can get in the ring and have fun with, and not just all business. It's not, and it's like local guys. It's not all like well-known people. Like you can go in there and have fun with like the same people you're grinding with.
Yeah, I
And
think that's
speaking,
what's important though, is that like when it comes to working, like you got to be able to have chemistry with people, and if you're having chemistry with them and you're working and you guys are able to tear down the roof, like it's going to resonate more with the fans than anything. Because if you're just like, oh, I just went out there and we did X, Y, Z, and the match went off just the way we thought it was going to, that's cool. But if you can go out there and you can not have to say anything and still tear the roof down, and the fans relate to you because they just instinctively they just gravitate you more, that's
mhm,
when the big wins come through.
yeah. Speaking of that guy Andino, it, it, I think I'm pretty much getting on his nerves now because everywhere he's at, he doesn't know it, but I'm there. And I'm there. And when he comes out, I instantly just boo him. He knows my voice already, so he just instantly gets depressed. And I don't know if he has like good matches after that. I don't know if he feels good about his matches after he sees me. But I'm definitely gonna try to get an interview to find out.
He's so the crazy thing about him, he's one of a kind of a talent, right? One, he always finds a way to like win, whether like the middle rope decides to just like not pull you back, or somebody
Yeah.
else distracts you and
Oh
causes you to
yeah.
get beat,
I'm
or
well
some.
versed in his many cheated wins.
But the thing I like about working with someone like Andino is that like you have to think outside the box a lot when you're working someone like him. And if you're not, then he knows where you're going to be at out of nowhere, because he studies all of his opponents, which makes it fun for me because I like to just throw everything and caution to the wind, and it always messes with him. So yeah, sometimes it's just fun to add something new.
Yeah. Throw him off every now and then, keep him on his toes.
Hmm.
All right. So what was the most memorable storyline that you witnessed growing up on TV?
Oh man, I think my favorite storyline as a kid. Sheesh. I might have to go with uh and a lot of people are gonna call me probably a shill for this, and that's fine. Uh Eddie and Ray for the custody of Dominic.
Oh man, that was hey that was good. You can't say nothing about that choice because
No, but what I did love about it was it's just like it was just such a wild storyline that like seeing Eddie and Ray battling for Dominic, and
yeah,
it was like this is so crazy that this guy they're literally battling for the
it,
custody of a child.
it
Like
caught me
what?
for a second because now looking back at that when you get older and you see Dominique in the ring and then he got his hair cut like Eddie and it's like you're looking
Yeah.
at him like well were they right at some point?
Yeah. And then even sometimes like they'll make references where they're like, like, oh, I should have been Eddie's kid, or
Yeah,
oh, he's looking a lot like Eddie. Like
exactly.
it's so trippy to me because I'm like, yo, and then he obviously does like the Three Amigos, and he has a little shake to him, and I'm like,
Yeah.
bro, this is so much. Like, I'm
Hmm.
so glad that he's like focused on like how Eddie used to portray himself, because I'm not saying he's a chip off the old block, but he's definitely like Uncle Eddie definitely has some influences on Dominic.
Oh yeah, definitely. You can see it all over him. It's like he watched all his film and a little bit of his dad. And he was like, okay, I'm good. I got my character.
Yeah.
He didn't watch any Chavo though, which is a good thing. He didn't watch any Chavo.
No, what's funny about Chavo though is that Chavo was like, as a worker, Chavo was like super underrated. Like, I don't think a lot of
Yeah.
people really like give the appreciation that they should be to him, because he had like he had his own swag about him that like
Hmm.
just made him completely different from what what Eddie did. So I'm hoping at some point, like I get to see like Dominic like say something about it and just be like, yeah, I'm just gonna be like the rest of my family too. Like and just pull out like some Chavo moves because I definitely would love to see it.
Y'all will probably shit a brick, but
Hey, that's my suplex, eh?
exactly. So growing up, we had WCW and WF back in the day. So which one was your go-to? What was your pick?
You know what's so funny is that I was that kid that would start watching the show, whatever was going on beforehand. I would start watching the opposite show first, and it always seemed like I was watching WWE unless nothing came on that really was like significant, right? Because obviously you had like the wars going on, and I felt like because the luchadors were dominating so much right at the beginning of the shows, I
Yeah,
was so hyped watching WCW because I loved
yeah,
Psychosis and I loved Juventude and I loved watching obviously Ray. Like we're not making any secrets about it. I loved
yeah,
watching all these dudes do their thing, and then like you got Billy Kidman coming into the scene, Conan was there, right? All
yeah.
these great dudes, and then I
Dean
remember when
Malenko
Disco,
is
Dean
my guy.
Malenko,
That was
Chris
my guy.
Jericho,
Yeah,
like all those dudes were so good. And then what made it funny was like unless Stone Cold Steve Austin or The Rock or DX was coming on first, most of the time I was watching WCW.
and that was, I think, one of the smartest things that Eric Bischoff did. He put the fast-paced, eye-popping entertainment at the beginning to keep people there. Like, oh, I don't want to miss this. And then by the time you flip over to WWE, it's like, okay, this commercial back because I don't want to miss anything. That's
Yeah.
that's how I used to end up. I would catch certain things on WWE, but my main focus was always Nitro because
See how,
I did not want to miss anything from Nitro. It was so action packed.
so what my parents did was they actually we had like multiple TVs in the house, and like as a kid as I was growing up, like I realized like hey I could grab a VCR, which if you guys don't know what that is, you should Google it because it's something that you can do. So I had a VCR and
Yeah,
I would have Nitro recording on one channel, and then I'll be watching like WWE or like WWF, right? For those who are old enough to remember. But I used to
yeah,
watch both. So then like Tuesday morning, if I wasn't Tuesday night when I got home from school, I would watch the other show. So I would pick one or the other, but I would be recording the other show at the same time. So like I remember one time I was like running around like crazy at my house, and I think like Austin was on TV, and I don't remember what Austin was doing, but I remember flipping the channel on another one of our TVs, and like they were talking about the match of a decade, right? And it was Hulk Hogan and the Outsiders versus, and I feel like it was like Macho Man, Sting, and Lex Luger, right? Like they were fighting on Nitro, and they're like, "This is a match you don't ever want to miss." And I was like, I remember getting ready to go to bed, and I just told my dad, I was like, "Dad, I have to watch this match. They said it's a match I can't miss." And I just remember like staying up and watching it, and just being so tired the next day. But then watching like Stone Cold and the Nation of Domination come out and like talk their smack, and I was infatuated with everything that was going on wrestling just in general.
yeah. Definitely, a lot of my family that was my age growing up, my cousins and stuff, they was big into basketball. I was cool with basketball, but my thing was wrestling. I That's what I wanted to be. That's what I wanted to do. I just never grew to the right size until I got older. So I was always a little figure. So I would have got broken. I I would have been cheeseburger before cheeseburger is the thing. So I wasn't ready yet.
I was one of those guys that I like to I like take in as much content as I could. So like I love watching basketball. So my dad would always like if Monday Night Football was on, like and the Broncos were playing, like we weren't watching wrestling. Like it was just the Broncos. Like that's what we were doing, and I was okay with that.
Gotcha.
But then like if uh if it was Monday night and like let's say I don't know Kansas City was playing or that team with the black and silver was playing, like we didn't pay attention. We didn't watch Monday Night Football that night, so I got to watch whatever wrestling shows I wanted to. And during the basketball season, well, like in the late '90s, I really started drifting away from the Bulls and started drifting more towards the Nuggets, and
Got
like watching Mutombo and those guys like tear it up, Ellis, uh, and I remember watching all those guys play. So I started like kind of like stop watching wrestling, but I try to watch wrestling as much as I could, like on Thursdays because of Thunder and SmackDown. And
yeah.
what ended up happening was I just found this love of like everything, and I was just taking in way like I felt like I was taking in way too much content as a kid.
Hey man, but we managed it. Like kids
Yeah,
these days, all the content they take is right at the palm of their hands. So it's
right. I had to
way
wait
more
for
than
it.
what we exactly. It's way more. Like they could turn the episode off and get the spoilers for the next episode, and right away we had to literally sit and wait and just talk about it all week.
hmm I remember, and it's funny too because like especially like wrestling. I remember one time I was super excited for an event that was happening. And I remember like talking to my friends about wrestling, and they were like, I don't really care. I was like, no, but I think you understand. Like, I think they're gonna like put all the titles in WCW like on the line, and you're gonna have like WCW, the Four Horsemen, NWO, and an NWO Wolfpack, and they're all gonna compete for the house, and it's gonna be awesome. And sure enough, that's what happened. Like the next week, and I was
Yeah,
like, they're reading my mind, bro.
it's crazy how you can come up with it. Well, you can see where it's going, and you can be correct.
Yeah,
And then when you are, it's just like it's so great because it's like, oh man, I can book this, I can do this, and then next time they swerve you, like, oh man, I would have never thought of that.
yeah, exactly.
Your Booker dreams is done from there.
Yep. Like, man, these guys have great ideas, and I clearly am just not that
No,
guy.
not at all. I tried. Sorry. All right. So, of course, I'm pretty sure I know your answer from WCW. Pretty sure your dream match for anybody from WCW would be Rey Mysterio.
Yep, it would
But
be.
WWF, who would your dream match be with?
Um, it's funny. So to backtrack, right? If you would have asked me about Rey Mysterio, like in my dream match, I would have said it was either going to be like Rey Mysterio, Chris Jericho, or Ultimo Dragon. Like those were my three
Oh man,
favorites as a kid. And
I
then
used to love
even
Ultimo Dragon.
yeah, Ultimo Dragon is still that dude. Like I don't care
Yeah,
what anybody's gonna say.
definitely.
He's still that guy. But then like in WWE, I mean, at that time, like during like the war days, man, it would have been like Austin, and it would have been Shawn Michaels, and probably oh man, I'm trying to think of probably like and funny enough, probably like The Rock, but Rocky Johnson, like when he was like in
Yeah.
the Nation of Domination, and Owen Hart, like that would probably be my dream match.
Oh
Would be Owen
yeah.
Hart because that dude was so charismatic. I
And
was
and that's what I was about to say. You know what's crazy? Anybody at any style, any size, dream match could be with Owen Hart because he can work with
hmm
any freaking body. It's crazy. He
and
can
he
work
was
with
just
anybody.
and like the thing is like Owen Hart was so far ahead of the game, like in his prime that it wasn't even funny. Like they were trying to like make fun of him about like they were making fun about his nose because that's all they had. They couldn't make
That's
fun of
it.
his wrestling. They couldn't make fun of
That's
him as a like as a promo person. They couldn't make fun of like really anything that he did because everything he did was great.
he wasn't with Sonny, so couldn't make fun of that.
Right. I mean, not everybody can have those kind of days.
Exactly. Boy, what a time that was in the wrestling business.
Right.
All right. So give me your Mount Rushmore of female wrestlers.
Oh, damn. Sheesh. It's pretty tough. Uh, I would have to put like Alundra Blaze up there.
Yeah.
I did like the stuff that Medusa was doing. Either way, that either person that you want to look at.
Yeah.
Um, I think if I'm gonna have to go for another person, Trish, because I'm still very much a massive, you know, fan of hers. I think I want to include. I love Mercedes Moné, Sasha Banks. For those
Yeah.
who are wondering who I'm talking about, she's crazy talented. And then I think for my last person, trying to like include like a lot of different eras into it. But
I'll
I
tell
want
you
to
what.
say,
For the last person, let's shake it up. Give me an independent wrestler that you work with.
ooh, that worked with, or
Yeah,
that
that you've
like,
been on a show with.
oh, hands down. Oh no, it would actually be kind of tough because I love both these two together. uh,
Give me your fourth and then
oh,
an honorable mention.
hold on. Okay, so let me give you. I'll give you my last one on the pro side, right? So we'll go with AJ Lee, right? That would be my one.
Okay.
My four indies that I've been on shows with.
Hmm.
Uh, Kylan King,
Okay.
Willow Nightingale.
Okay.
Uh, I'm gonna. This is kind of cheating, and I don't really mind. The Renegade Twins, because I just think
Yeah.
that those two are just amazing. And then
Yeah, they are.
Trisha Dora. Trisha Dora is like hands down
Yes,
like one of my
she
favorite
is.
indie wrestlers of all time. And I feel like a lot of people don't understand. I don't even want to say indie. One of my favorite wrestlers, period. And I feel like a lot of people just sleep because they don't get a chance to check out her work, and they need to because she is just she's godsend.
I first seen her. I went to the 2300 arena for MLW Fusion taping, and I seen her there, and she performed that night, and I fell in love. I was like, wow, it would be her and Gia Scott and all. It's like I would love for them to be a tag team.
Yes. G Scott is definitely like one of my other favorite people. It's funny because we're actually really good friends, and I recently we were at Fight, not the last Fight show, but there was a Fight show in D. No, it's before after we went to DC. Anyway, I photobombed her like while she was taking promo pictures,
Oh wow,
like in the middle of her photo shoot.
it's always great when y'all can have fun in the back. Um, where do you see yourself in 5 years in this business?
Oh man, it's a tough call because so a lot of people don't realize uh, that I'm almost 40, and
Yeah.
so like being that old. So I think for me, where I see myself in 5 years is kind of on the brink of just having kind of like another fun like indie year where I'm just working at different states, and just working big talent, like just being able to talk to people about or be able to work with like anybody. I want to be one of those guys that people come to and they're like, man, if you can't have a bad match with Red Dog because he's a good hand, but he's also a lot of fun. You're gonna have to match his energy because it's through this roof, and no matter what happens, like he's got you, and that's where I want to be at in 5 years. So just imagine me working with someone like I don't know, like Brian Cage, and him telling people like, "Oh man, you got to go work Red Dog because he's just crazy."
That's what's up. That's what's up. That would be a big thing to have that a wrestler go and spray good things about your name.
Right.
All right, this is a part of the show where you go ahead and promote your social media so fans know how to get up with you, and also your podcast so you gather some more listeners.
Yeah. So you guys can find me on all your favorite social media platforms at the_Red Dog 85. So whether you're on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, that you'll find me. It's just right there. I have my own YouTube channel. So if you go into the YouTube bar, just type in Red Dog 85. I'm always posting up matches and stuff, having a lot of fun with everything. So go check it out. Give a like, give a comment, subscribe, right? And then share it with your friends. Then if you guys want, you guys can actually go check out my podcast. It's called the 3 Count Podcast. We do a debate show called Chaz and Friends that is run by the Don Chaz Evans himself, because he does everything on the podcast, and I just sit back and watch him make fun of me about it. But we have that show, so we do our debate show there. We talk about wrestling topics that are currently trending. We have lots of fun stuff that we have going on with it, whether it's temp check, we talk about our hottest or coldest wrestlers of the week. We do match of the week where we talk about our favorite matches that we got to watch. And then we also have our debate topics that we go through. And then every Tuesday, you guys can catch our other show, which is called Now Entering, which is hosted by yours truly, where we bring on different talent and we talk to them about their wrestling experience to help other wrestlers through their journey, right? I think one thing that that's kind of missing in this industry is that there's not enough people. There's always people willing to give out information, but there's nowhere that where you can collectively go towards the middle and kind of see people give that information. So we like to think of our show like the Joe Rogan Experience or Chris Van Vliet's Insight, and you can actually check out our show where we bring on talent and we talk to them. We've had over 325 episodes now, and those are still stuff that's in the queue. We've had a who's list of people come on the show, whether it was Willa Nightingale, Trisha Dora, Gia Scott. You know, we've just talked about those three. The international pop star herself, Becca, has been on our show. All of Shane Taylor Promotion has been on the show. We brought on people like Flip Gordon. We brought on Chris Van Vliet. We brought on TJP. We brought on Shaw Guerrero. We've talked about Eddie. You know, we brought on his daughter, talked to her. Yeah, we brought on so many great guests. And then we have a bunch of mixed arrays. So guys who've been to the mountaintops and people who are just starting out. So you get to have those experiences and listen to those guys talk about how they've been navigating their way through the business. And, you know, maybe there might be somebody out there that you can relate to, or maybe someone that you want to kind of get more information about. You'll probably find them on our show. So here on the East Coast, one of my favorite interviews too, if you guys were going to wonder, I did one with a guy named El Johnny Santos, who he is every bit of a great character and teaches people like how to become a great character. You want to talk to a guy who can do really good at the social media side of things. Jack Tomlinson has been on our show. You want to talk to someone who's great at wrestling and has a mind for what camera looks like and what a good camera match looks like. You can look at O'Shea Edwards, or you can look at Shane Taylor, right? So there's so many different variety of wrestlers that we have going on that come on the podcast and talk to us about their experiences, that if you guys wanted to, you could actually pick up a lot of great knowledge. And we've had guys who create wrestling gear, people who have their own podcasts. We have people who make wrestling designs. So like I said, if there's a person that you think that can help you out with an aspect that you're probably lacking in, we probably had them on the podcast.
Okay. Hey, that's what's up, man. I appreciate what you're doing for the wrestling community and independent and pro wrestling. And man, there's not a lot of good platforms for new wrestlers. So I appreciate you being one of the ones that open it up for them.
I appreciate that too, man. I really do.
All right. You can give some of your future dates of shows that you got coming up.
So this is gonna be kind of funny. So right now I have 2 dates, so you guys can come check them out. Right. So if you're gonna be in Shady Grove, Pennsylvania on June 10th, you'll be able to see myself and Riot City take on the Madness of Trip, the Sadist Trip himself, as well as Pure Ignorance. And then on August 19th, you guys will see me at SNW, Supernova Wrestling in Maine, because I'm moving. I'm actually going to be going from the Mid-Atlantic to the Northeast. So I'm going to have to start filling up my bookings all over again when I get the chance to.
Oh, man. Well, I tell you, it was a pleasure seeing you every time I got to. Your energy was always great. You always know how to get with the crowd and everything. Your ability is just incredible. So I wish you well up in Maine to show them what the Red Dog can do, man.
Well, I'll be moving to Massachusetts. It's just happen to have that one date in Maine right now.
Got you. Okay. Well, just show them all over. That's it.
Facts.
All right, brother. I appreciate you coming on to Four Corner Fandemonium and telling everybody who you are and getting yourself out there some more.
No, I appreciate it again. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. You have a good night, man.
All right, you too.
Thank you for listening to Four Corner Fandemonium. Make sure to follow for upcoming shows. And also follow Red Dawg on all social media platforms. And also check out his podcast. And always remember,
Reach for the sky, boy.